There comes a moment in every man's life when clarity becomes more valuable than connection, when the cost of staying silent outweighs the comfort of being chosen. And in that stillness you begin to see people, not for who they pretend to be, but for how they make you feel. If your woman plays these games, dump her, not with bitterness, not in haste, but with the quiet strength of a man who finally understands. Peace is the highest form of love you can offer yourself. Welcome to Stoic Station, where we don't react, we reflect. Where we learn how to walk away, not to prove a point, but to protect our worth. Today, I'll show you 5 emotional games women may play and why walking away from them isn't weakness, it's wisdom. If you find value in this message, let it be known. Like the video, not for me, but for the man you're choosing to become. And if you're new here, subscribe to Stoic Station, where silence is not avoidance, it's mastery. Let's begin. 1. She disappears often without a valid reason. There's a specific kind of emptiness that forms when someone you care about simply vanishes. No call, no explanation, no sense of presence. And over time, that silence becomes louder than words. If she disappears often, without warning or reason, and leaves you hanging in uncertainty, that's not independence. It's emotional detachment dressed as freedom. A woman who genuinely values you doesn't leave you wondering where you stand. She understands that your peace matters, that your mind doesn't deserve to be tossed into cycles of doubt. But when she repeatedly ghosts you, she's showing you what's important to her, and unfortunately, it's not your clarity or emotional safety. You've grown past the phase of chasing affection like a teenager hoping for validation. You're a man now, someone who's built a life, overcome trials, and learned to respect his own energy. You don't need to be smothered with constant attention, but you deserve the simple respect of being kept in the loop. A quick message, a sign of thoughtfulness. That's all it takes. The truth is, people don't just lose track of time or forget to respond, not habitually. If she disappears frequently, it's a choice. And when you keep waiting, making excuses for her silence, you begin to lose pieces of your self-respect. It's time to reclaim it. A woman who truly sees your worth won't keep you in emotional limbo. She won't force you to decode her silence or test your patience as proof of your loyalty. She'll communicate, not vanish. She'll show up, not withdraw. So if her absence is more consistent than her presence, let that be your closure. Don't chase shadows. Choose peace. Because love should never feel like being forgotten. 2. She saves your name under a strange alias. There's something quietly unsettling about realizing the name you hold with pride is reduced to a disguise in someone else's world. You scroll through your own contact list, see names that matter, friends, family, people who've earned their place. And then you discover that in hers, you're not who you are. You're someone else, hidden under a label, a nickname you never agreed on, or worse, disguised as a profession or a random symbol. That's not harmless, that's not playful, that's a message. Because when someone chooses to mask your identity, especially in the one place that reflects who matters in their life, they're not protecting your relationship, they're protecting themselves from being seen with you. It's a quiet act of exclusion, and it cuts deeper than silence. It suggests shame, secrets, or someone else who comes first. And if she can't give you a reason that's rooted in honesty and mutual understanding, then you already have your answer. You're not her priority. You're a placeholder hidden in plain sight. You're not a man who hides behind games, not anymore. You've built your life on clarity, on showing up, on meaning what you say. You don't pretend to be someone you're not. And you shouldn't have to accept a place in someone's life that's built on half-truths and behind-the-scenes arrangements. Maybe you've told yourself it's nothing. Maybe you've tried to rationalize it. She's private. She doesn't want people in her business. She's been burned before. And while all of that can hold some truth, ask yourself this: does her desire for privacy erase your right to feel seen, respected, and acknowledged? Or is it just another way to keep you small enough to fit the space she's willing to give, but never fully open? At this point in your life, you know that love, real love, doesn't hide. It honors, it uplifts. It doesn't erase your identity to make someone else comfortable. It holds your name with pride. Even if it's never shouted from the rooftops, it's at least spoken with truth. So no, don't settle for being stored under a name that makes you invisible. Don't confuse access with intimacy. If someone can't acknowledge you clearly, fully, and honestly, then what you have isn't a connection, it's a cover-up. You're not meant to be anyone's secret. You are a man who brings value, presence, and authenticity, and the right woman won't be afraid to call you by your name. She'll say it with certainty, with pride, with openness. And until then, walk away from anything that feels like a hidden tab in someone else's life. Because love should be something you both can stand in, openly, honestly, and without shame. 3. The relationship is one-sided. She only shows up when she needs something. There's a certain kind of emptiness that grows when you realize someone only reaches for you when they need something, not when they miss you, not when they want to share joy or create moments. Just when they're down, lonely, bored, or in need of a favor. It begins subtly. She sends a message after days of silence, needing comfort or help. And at first, you respond willingly, thinking it's a phase. Or maybe she's just going through something. But over time, a pattern forms. You notice that when you reach out, when you want to connect, plan something meaningful, or share your own struggles, she's conveniently unavailable. Always busy, always delayed, always distracted. And suddenly, you begin to feel like a station she only visits when the weather turns cold, never to stay, never to build. That's not love. That's a rhythm of convenience wrapped in illusion. You've come too far to mistake access for intimacy. A real relationship is not a one-way street. It's not built on imbalance, where one gives and the other simply receives. You're not a background character in someone else's story. You're not here to serve someone's needs while burying your own. You deserve more than to be someone's emotional safety net. You deserve presence, effort, and reciprocity, someone who shows up for you the same way you show up for them. Someone who doesn't just come around when it's easy, but when it matters. If she only knocks when she needs something, it's time to stop opening the door, because your energy, your time, and your heart are not here to be borrowed. They're here to be honored. 4. She never posts you on social media. This isn't about vanity. It's not about needing likes or public praise. It's about being seen, acknowledged, as someone who matters in her life. Because when a woman is active on social media, posting pictures of her brunch, gym selfies, vacations, or her dog wearing a cute sweater, but never once includes you, not even on your birthday, it's not subtlety, it's a signal. At first you might brush it off. Maybe she's private, maybe she doesn't want to flaunt her personal life, but then you notice she tags her co-workers, shares birthday tributes to her friends, posts videos from girls' night out, and documents every other meaningful connection in her world, except you. You begin to wonder, what exactly are we building if I only exist behind the scenes? And the more you wonder, the more you start to feel like a hidden chapter in a story she doesn't want the world to read. You're not asking to be turned into content. You're asking for recognition, a simple gesture, a candid photo, a post that says, "He's part of my world." Because when someone wants to keep you, they don't bury you in silence. They bring you into the light. There's a man I once spoke to who had been dating his girlfriend for almost a year. He showed up for her, helped with her move, supported her emotionally, even traveled with her to see her family. But online, he was invisible. On her page, she looked single. When he asked about it, she laughed it off, said, "Social media isn't that serious." But months later, he found out she had been dating someone else the entire time, someone who was featured in her older posts, then quietly disappeared when he came into the picture. He realized then that it wasn't about privacy, it was about a pattern of hiding people when they became inconvenient. You deserve more than to be someone's best-kept secret. Love, when it's real, doesn't live in the dark. It may not always be loud, but it's never afraid to be seen. If she hides you online while showing the world everything else, you're not part of her story. You're part of her cover-up, and you weren't made to live in anyone's shadows. 5. She flirts with others, even when you've expressed your discomfort. There's a certain kind of hurt that doesn't come from betrayal. It comes from being ignored after you've spoken your truth. When you've opened up, calmly and clearly, and said, "That makes me uncomfortable," and she continues to do it anyway, that's no longer flirtation. That's a lack of respect. Flirting might seem playful to her, a harmless interaction she brushes off with a laugh, but when a woman repeatedly crosses a boundary you've drawn, she's telling you your feelings aren't worth adjusting for. And no matter how subtle the behavior is, the message is loud. What you feel doesn't matter enough to change. I remember a man who once shared that his girlfriend would call other guys babe and sweetheart at work and in social settings. At first, he let it slide. Then he spoke up, not out of jealousy, but because it made him feel small, like he was watching her hand pieces of intimacy to people who hadn't earned it. She said he was overreacting. She said he was being insecure. But months later, one of those harmless conversations turned into something more, and it ended the relationship. Respect is the foundation of anything that lasts, and a partner who continues to test how far they can go with others while staying with you isn't bold. They're reckless. You deserve someone who honors your peace, not someone who pokes at your pain just to see how much you'll tolerate. As a man who's lived long enough to outgrow illusions, I've learned something simple but deeply powerful. Love is not meant to leave you guessing. It's not supposed to exhaust your spirit or make you feel like you're walking through fog, trying to read signs that keep changing. And yet, so many men find themselves entangled in relationships that confuse more than they clarify. I've been there too, waiting on replies that never came, accepting being hidden behind digital walls, giving without receiving, explaining my boundaries only to watch them be crossed again. At some point, you begin to wonder if love is supposed to feel like work, or worse, like doubt. But what I've come to realize is this: a woman who values your heart will not treat it as an option. She won't disappear when things get inconvenient. She won't reduce your presence to a nickname meant to cover her tracks. She won't only show up when her world is quiet and her needs arise, and she certainly won't flirt with boundaries just to test if you'll stay. She'll show up fully, openly, honestly, because real love doesn't hide, doesn't take, and doesn't toy with your peace. It holds space for you, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. So what's the advice here? What's the lesson for today's man? It's this: stop giving energy to anything that makes you question your worth. If she disappears, let her go. If she hides you, believe her silence. If she uses you, close that door. If she makes you feel invisible, step out of her shadows. And if she crosses boundaries, walk away with your dignity intact. In today's world, where attention is cheap and emotional games are often disguised as independence, the rarest thing you can offer is presence, but never offer it to someone who hasn't earned it. Respect yourself enough to stop chasing validation from those who feed off your silence. Love yourself enough to demand what you also give: clarity, commitment, and care. Because peace, not passion, is the true marker of lasting love. And when you begin choosing peace over patterns, silence over chaos, and truth over guessing games, that's when everything changes. That's when you change. And that's when you stop settling and start rising. Thank you for being here. If this message spoke to something inside you, take a moment to like the video. It helps more than you know. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Stoic Station, where we don't just talk about love and loss. We explore the strength that rises from both. If you're new, there's a whole library of videos waiting for you. Real stories, real growth, and real conversations that honor who you are becoming. Your journey deserves clarity, not confusion. Until next time, take care of your peace and keep choosing yourself.